Democrats using the Epstein file to turn up the heat on Republicans. Take a look at the new ad blitz that they launched in swing districts today.
This is a serious issue. The highest volume of calls into my office have been about Epstein.
You could say they're trying to fight fire with fire, and that's something that my next guest thinks the party should do more of, especially when it comes to his own state of Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott is holding a special legislative session to redraw the state's congressional maps. Just 4 years since they last did it. Now, mind you, states redistrict once a decade. That's the typical way of doing it. It's based, of course, on new census information that comes in once a decade. Well, President Trump encouraged Abbott to do it, saying that Texas could gain as many as 5 additional Republican seats. Now, some blue state governors, they're warning they'll retaliate.
Things have changed, so too must we. If we don't put a stake into the heart of this administration, there may not be an election in 2028.
First of all, they're changing the rules in the middle of the game. That's the way I look at it. This is cheating.
With me now, former Texas Congressman and Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke. Welcome, Congressman. You say it's time to fight fire with fire over gerrymandering, redistricting. Why do you think it's best for Democrats to bypass the usual once every 10 years process?
Well, it's because if we don't, we're going to lose our last best hope of regaining power in the United States Congress. And without that power, there will be no check on Trump's lawlessness, no accountability for his crimes and corruption. And as Governor Newsom just said, we may not have free and fair elections in 2028. And Trump realizes that as well. And he realizes because his policies are so deeply unpopular, he cannot win if it's a fair fight. And so he's going to try to steal these 5 seats. Now, if we just sit back and watch him do it and complain about it and go to the courts, well, the game is already lost. So I appreciate those governors who are seizing the initiative and at least talking about responding. But Laurel, what I'd love them to do is to take a step further. And instead of waiting for Texas to throw the first punch, I'd like them to redraw their districts to Democratic advantage so that we fight fire with fire. For far too long, Democrats have cared more about being right than they have about being in power, while Republicans have only cared about being in power. We got to get serious about this if we're going to win and save the country.
Well, do you risk losing the moral high ground? The Democrats, frankly, have been very keen on preserving. I mean, the idea that they are the party, will say, that would not engage in this. The ethical party, they want people to believe they would not do this. And I often hear the criticism of Democrats where they say, you know, you guys are playing checkers and they're doing something entirely different. Is it worth it to risk potentially losing that level of maybe soapboxness?
You know, it's like we're playing a basketball game, Republicans versus Democrats, and the refs have just stopped making any of the calls. And so the other side's punching us in the face, and we keep calling for the refs who aren't there. We keep looking at the crowd asking, are you seeing what I'm seeing? But none of that is going to get us where we need to be. We got to start punching, and we got to start winning. We got to be focused on what it's going to take to make sure that we save America, because if we fail in this, there'll be some answering to do for why we didn't step up and do what it took when everything was on the line. And so I want us to do absolutely everything we can, from those governors in California and Illinois and other places to supporting state house Democrats to break quorum to not deny their Republican colleagues the majority they need to redraw these maps in the first place.
It sounds like many voters believe that strength is such an essential component to which party they are drawn to. I wonder if that is the appropriate route to do. But as you know, this is hardly the first time that redistricting has been controversial in your state of Texas. In 2003, Democrats left the state to break a quorum and stop the state from redistricting. It didn't work, and they risked fines and arrests if they now flee this time. So what should the Texas lawmakers do next? Is it time to skip town again? What?
Yeah, it's time for them to break this quorum, but even more importantly, it's time for all of us to have their backs. It's going to be a very expensive proposition. We all need to chip in. They're going to need our encouragement. They're going to need the moral support our ability to explain to our friends and neighbors just why they are doing this. The Republicans, with Trump's request, are trying to steal the election of 2026 right now in the summer of 2025, right here in Texas. I mean, they may very well be the last best hope for America. And not only do I think that they can prevail by breaking quorum, I think they're going to inspire this country, which wants to see the underdog against the most powerful man on the planet, who's supported by the wealthiest people anywhere in the world. They want to see this guy meet his match by these underdog, scrappy Democrats in the state of Texas and their friends in these other states who have the ability to seize the initiative now before it's too late.
I wonder if it will indeed become the blueprint, but Democrats have been focusing a great deal, much less on gerrymandering and redistricting than they have been on Jeffrey Epstein and getting that data out. Do you think the Democrats risk going overboard with their focus on Epstein?
I love that Democrats in Congress have been focused on getting the files out and transparency for these girls and women who were raped and abused. And as you know, though Speaker Mike Johnson tried to send all members of Congress home, those Democrats who persisted and were able to get a subpoena out before Congress convened are going to help us to get the truth. That's what those victims deserve. That's what the American public deserves. So I'm glad that they did that. And while they're doing that, though, we've got to focus on this fight right here in Texas, because Trump is the master of distraction and division and will keep us from our eyes staying on the prize. And that prize is the 2026 election, and doing whatever it takes, being ruthless about the pursuit of power so that we actually win it, so that there is still a democracy at the end of the day in America, so that we can save this country for our friends, for our family, for those who we live with, the generations that will follow ours. They're counting on us right now at this moment of truth.
Beto O'Rourke, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Laura.